African Blue Basil. 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 If you didn't guess, today we're going to talk about African Blue Basil, which is a cross between opal basil and camphor basil, neither of which I enjoy the flavor of. This, on the other hand, I really do enjoy the flavor of. It is not as sweet as a sweet Genovese basil, but it is still very nice. It's got a little bit of a spiciness to it, not a Thai basil spicy. It's a little sweet, a little spicy, very basil-y in flavor. But still very good. Culinarily, is it the best basil? No. Is it still a very good basil? Yes. Is it my favorite basil? Probably. If it's not the best flavor, why is it? It's because it's so dang prolific is number one, and number two, because the pollinators love this stuff. So let's talk about it. First things first. Don't just rush out and buy the first thing you see labeled as African Blue Basil. Chances are it probably isn't. I've made the mistake. I'll show you what I usually find sold when I see the tag African Blue Basil. This is camphor basil. It's often sold as African Blue Basil. It's an African basil, and it reeks of camphor. It's just not that yummy. You don't want to use this in cooking when you want basil. I have it growing in this garden strictly pretty much for biomass, chop and drop. I don't like it. It's pretty prolific, but not as much as the African Blue Basil. So when you do see something labeled as African Blue Basil, what do you want to check for? First, is the stem. It should have that bluish purple color. If it doesn't have that, it's definitely not African Blue Basil. But the next thing is the veins in the leaves. The veins in the leaves should have that bluish purple color. Most importantly, on the back side, you should see that bluish purple color. Some won't really have it on the front, but on the back, you can see it. Why do the two get confused? Because this is the child of the camphor basil, the blue opal being the other. This was bred exactly one time, and it's sterile, which is part of what makes it tricky, but also part of what makes it magical. So this will never produce seeds, and you get these really tall flower spikes when it bolts. But when it bolts, it doesn't taste bad. Why? Because it's not actually making any seeds. So this thing will just keep growing and growing and growing, and trying and trying and trying to make more and more flowers so that it can try to go to seed. But it will never get there. It will send these flower spikes, and none of them will ever produce seed because it's sterile. So the only way to propagate this is from cuttings, which makes it so tricky why you can't find this. You can never find African Blue Basil seeds. If you find something labeled as such, they're lying, they're not. You can only find this propagated from cuttings. Like I did here. I just took some cuttings and I just stuck them into some potting mix a couple days ago. I did just drop it, so I bent this stem. It'll probably be fine, and some of the leaves got bent. But interestingly, I did literally nothing other than sticking it into potting mix, and just less than a week of growth, you could see those roots poking out through the side. The stuff propagates like crazy. It just tries to grow and grow and grow, because it's never optimistic that it's ever going to make seed, because it won't. And the stuff is super prolific. Also, those flowers that I showed you, they just draw the pollinators in. The flowers are just magnets for bees and wasps. They love them, and it just makes more and more and more. And it just grows and grows, and then you just take cuttings. All of the African blue basil that you've seen in this video came from one single 4-inch pot that I bought in the middle of the summer. It was the size of this one. I bought it, I cut it, I planted the bottom, I propagated the top, and all of the African blue basil you've seen has come from that. So this stuff is super prolific, which is great. So try and find some real authentic African blue basil and just keep propagating it. I will warn that this stuff does not like cold weather, but what you do is once you start getting into the lower temperatures, you just go take some cuttings, you stick them in one of these, you bring them inside, keep them there all winter, and then just go plop them back in the garden as soon as your threat of frost has passed. And then you'll always have African blue basil, and you give it to your friends. Just take cuttings, give it to your friends. The more you spread this, the more people will have it. The more people have it, the easier it is to get if you do lose in a freeze. And you might be able to pile some mulch up around the base and keep the roots alive during a freeze also. Certainly going to try that. That way, maybe those propagations I take will just be even more. So get the African blue basil. Spend some extra money to make sure you get the real thing if you need to, but you only need to buy one, because this stuff will just keep propagating again and again and again. It's so easy. So that's African blue basil. Delicious flavor, easy to propagate, brings the pollinators, grows like crazy. Pretty handsome looking plant too. So thanks for watching. Check out the link below in the description to the Hidden Harvest Handbook. Go check the book out. You can get it ebook or paperback. Also do the internet video thing. And I thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Bye.